Greetings, world. It is us, the Hairy Game Lords, coming to you
Hello.
through the medium of Zoom. And this evening on Tabletopia, we have been playing this Houses of Knowledge from Two Red Squares. What did we think? Find out. So it's me, Bearded Lady. What did I think? Well, first up, can I just point out, I like the stylized artwork. Fan of that. And obviously, it's a little bit different playing on Tabletopia. Oh, dear me.
Far away.
As you can see, this game has enabled us to have lots of fun. We like to have a lot of fun. And this is a fun little game. It takes about an hour to play for 2 to 4 players. And we enjoyed it, or I enjoyed it. And although we're playing on Tabletopia and getting used to all of the kind of like mechanisms and how to move the camera and nick other people's money, etc., etc., the game was a good, fun game. Now, I can talk about the production value. This is a prototype, but a really nice prototype. So the card quality is really nice. There's a nice kind of like gloss feel to it all. Good thickness. You've got a die and you have some tokens as well. And then you also have money, which the money cash, which again is just a slightly thinner card, but all good. So the kind of production value, this as is a prototype, but it is still really nice. That was good. I enjoyed the gameplay. Lots of banter involved. There's a little bit of take that element to it where you can nick other people's items, put them into your hand. Good times. And it came down to a draw between me and Dave. Fantastic.
Sorry,
or did
Dave.
it? Or did
I
it?
didn't do so well. Although I still enjoyed it. It was definitely a really good game. Really enjoyed it and would definitely want to play it again. Playing on Tabletopia meant that it was a little bit, and it was our first play as well, so it was a bit slower, and I was behind for quite a lot of the game, and so that was quite tough. If that was only a 45-minute game, that would not be a problem. So that was the only drawback for me, being sort of always feeling like I was going to really struggle to catch up. In essence, you're sort of card drafting from a row of cards where, one end of the row is really cheap, one end of the row is really expensive, and cards move down. So over time, the cards that you need will get closer to the lower end of costing. So it's about timing the buying right. And then what you're trying to do, in essence, in Houses of Knowledge is you're setting up a museum, and you have different rooms like you do in different museums, and you're collecting items to put into those museum rooms. Rooms are expensive. They cost 5 cash per room, and then any time you play a card down onto the table, that's going to cost you 2. Whereas the items can, start at 1, go up to 10, but you're kind of always, they're slowly moving down that conveyor belt, so you can wait and grab them. Problem is, I tended to be last in the tree, so the ones that I wanted that were moving down just going to get into my price range and were taken by somebody else before it was my turn, and then you're kind of stuck trying to catch up. But part of that was I probably should have developed my tactics and looked at stuff that was coming down and taken it to prevent other people getting theirs, and building up the cash that they could then draw each turn. Because obviously at the start of your turn you get cash back depending on how many rooms you've got and how many items you've got, and it kind of scales up. So if you've got 1 item, you only get like 2 cash. I think it was 2 items in a room is 6 cash and 3 is 9. So very, very quickly you can start earning a lot of cash. I didn't, and so I wasn't able to buy much. But really nice game, really clever, and I just wasn't clever enough tonight. Over to you, Dave.
I had quite a lot of fun with this. The things I do to play a game. Absolute desperation stakes here, having to put up with these 2 clowns. But to be honest, obviously tough times at the minute, but Tabletopia did work really quite well. It's never going to be as good as actually having the cards in front of you. It slows things down slightly. The advantage is these two clowns are quite a long way away from me in person, if not in spirit. Although it has given them free rein to act like complete fools. But there you go. They're not making me corpse quite as much as I normally do filming these things either, which is always an advantage. But no, Tabletopia is a pretty decent, I would say, swap out for actually playing a game. Obviously, we'd all rather be playing in person, but it does the job. So, well worth doing that. And this game, I think it fitted it quite well. So, not too many sort of difficult pieces to move around. Fairly simple cards dealing around, kind of fitted with Tabletopia quite nicely. To start with, I felt like I was running away with it a little bit because I managed to get an engine building quite early doors. There is a little bit of take that, and I think Pete was unfortunate in that we were both collecting two of the same type of room. I knew he was collecting science rooms, so I was nicking them, even though I didn't have enough money to necessarily play them. Andrew, on the other hand, had sort of opposite rooms to me, so I didn't really get the opportunity to stick the knife into him quite as much as I would have liked to early doors. And right at the end, he made a couple of turns that had a massive point scoring for him, and he managed to just catch up with me right at the very last play. The other thing I did like is when you trigger the end condition, there's then another 2 rounds that everybody gets. So a lot of games have 1 round where everybody gets to sort of play the cards that they've got in their hand. 2 rounds lets you still develop some tactics as well, which I thought was really nice. There is a rule where if people sort of nick stuff off you, that can then carry on going, because if it takes you below the end condition, you actually just start again until somebody triggers it again. That could overstay its welcome if it goes on too long. But to be honest, I think by the time we got to that point, I'd gone well past that trigger. Andrew had as well. And to be honest, I think Pete wasn't far off. So I don't think it'd carry on much beyond the 2 turns. But it did give a chance for Andrew to really catch up, rather than quite often everybody else gets a turn, doesn't really do a lot for who wins and loses. But it did give it that edge. And a little bit of panic from my side, as I could see Andrew starting to breathe down my neck, which, just made it more interesting for me, to be honest, even though I like to think that I morally won because I had 2 guards, he only had 1. If it comes to a fight in the car park, my guys are going to win, aren't they? So I'm going to chalk that up as a victory. Happy days.
So the guards, they are all right, aren't they? The guards. What do we think of the guards?
Yeah.
I have a bit of a love-hate relationship with the guards.
They did give me 4 points at the end, but they are quite a pricey thing to get, because you're paying whatever you pay to get them drafted in the first place. They did kind of hang around a bit in the 1-2 zone, I think, for a while, because nobody really wanted to pay their wages. Capitalist dogs that we are. I'd put them on furlough myself.
So what with the guards? But what happens is you pay to get them, and then you can play them for free because they're an action card. But with the guards, at the end of each and every go that you take, you have to pay their wages, which is 2 money cash, whatever it is, the £2 or whatever. Cheap labour, but it soon adds up. And what they do is, in terms of, they don't outright protect your stash or your rooms. What happens is that when someone comes along with another action card where they can steal, they roll a die, and if that die is a 0, then they have to pay off the guards effectively. So for every guard that you have, they have to pay $3 or whatever the currency is to pay off the guard. So if you've got Dave had 2, so that would be, you'd have to pay 6, which is quite expensive. So in a sense, that does stop. Like Pete, for instance,
To be fair,
didn't
actually,
have enough money.
Pete's your guard stopped me winning the game.
Stopped.
Because
that's very true.
Pete had the very last turn of the game, tried to nick something off you, and
rolled a 0.
He didn't have enough money to pay off the guard, at which point he failed to nick it, and you scraped a draw. So if you hadn't had that guard, I'd have won.
Or I'd rolled better.
Or he'd rolled better, obviously.
So of course, if you roll a better die, and you get 2 or 1, 2 or 3, then basically, you don't have to pay those guards. You just take the item. So in that sense, they do have. Looking at it in that view, that actually it won me the game. I mean, drew me the game. Maybe I have more of a love relationship towards the guards. They're just a bit pricey for the upkeep of them. Of course, if you don't have the money to pay for them, or you don't want to pay for them anymore, you can just discard them and then you'll go. You don't have to pay their wages. You can just fire them and let them go off.
Capitalist dog.
World. But there we go. So there's guards in there. So what I do like about the game is kind of that kind of card drafting, bit of set collection, but there is that element of take that in there, which us hairy game lords like.
Unless you're on the end of it.
Yeah. So this game is coming to Kickstarter. Keep an eye out for it. Get involved. It's a good game. I think you will enjoy it. And until next time, give us a like, give us a subscribe. Laters.
Cheers. Okay. Ooh.
Have you stopped recording the Zoom?
Can't remember. No.